Hello. Ashley back again with another episode of the Maverick Mompreneur podcast. We're on episode 55. What? I hope you're doing well. I hope that you are having a great week. I know this is a little later in the week than I usually release episodes, but I just kept thinking of different ideas and things I wanted to add in. And so here we are. It's Friday, probably when you're listening to this. So thank you again, as always, for being here, for listening to the podcast, for hanging out with me. This episode is a follow-up to one of the most popular episodes of this podcast, 24. I will link it in the show notes for you, so it's really easy to listen to because this will make a lot more sense if you listen to 24 first. But let me give you a little bit of a background. So in episode 24, I did a mock one-on-one coaching session with Chad. Remember Chad? Chad was my male client. He was trying to pimp out his dating profile and elevate his brand on Bumble so that he could pull the lady of his dreams. And so we're going to catch up with Chad. There's a little bit of a twist in this episode that I hope you enjoy very much as I did creating it in my mind. But we really will talk about principles of branding. And then I also wanted to use this as an opportunity to show you what it looks like when I am mapping out my own offers or offer mapping with a client more specifically. So right now, 30K and 30-day formula group coaching program / mastermind hybrid enrollment is open, and that's only for another week. And one of the things that we'll be doing within that program is offer mapping. So you'll get an idea of exactly what that can look like. It will not be obviously one-on-one, but if you show up to the Q&A coaching sessions every week during the program, you can absolutely get this same level of one-on-one coaching if you come prepared. So anyway, I wanted to give you that example. If you're interested in enrolling for that program, it's going to be absolutely fire. I cannot wait to get started on the 7th of November. If you'd like to get on the wait list for the next round and you're listening to this later on, the link will also be in the show notes, but you can check that out below. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of a personal history as to where I have gotten this content and research from, because I know it's a little bit weird and this is probably TMI, but that's how we roll. We're just over here sharing our lives. So anyway, I went on to the dating app scene in December of 2021. I had been divorced and I had started dating someone who then broke my heart and ended up doing that a couple more times subsequent to that, lessons learned. But anyway, I found myself single in December and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go on these dating apps. I've never done that. I hadn't ever really dated in a decade. So I get on the dating apps. I'm on there for a week and I had no interest in actually dating. I just found it so fascinating from a profile / branding standpoint to see the type of profiles that these dudes were coming up with. And I got this idea that I wished that I could execute upon, which is like a pimp my profile type coaching service. But how do you go about doing that? Do you like swipe right, make a connection and say, haha, what I really wanted to do is to pitch you this offer? No, absolutely not. That would not be an integrity. That would not be a good look. That would not lead to sales. So anyway, I decided to do an episode on the podcast around that time based on what I would advise just from a branding standpoint to help these guys stand out in a sea of fish holding, shirtless, turkey leg eating, some weird stuff. Some weird stuff is happening on the dating apps. And then flash forward, after a little bit more of a roller coaster ride, I recently got off the roller coaster. We wish everyone well, but we also wish ourselves well, right? So went back on the dating apps just out of curiosity, and a lot of it was the same things. A lot of it was the same people, but I was the same people on there. So I dipped my toe in for another week and I got so much more material, so much more. So this episode is going to be really juicy, and I just wanted to give myself a little bit of authority in this realm. Not that I've been on there for too long, but just as it doesn't take a whole day to recognize sunshine, it don't take a whole day to recognize a bunch of crap either. So without further ado, let's jump back into my catch up with Chad. Hey, Chad. It's so awesome to have our second session. I never thought this would happen, and I cannot wait to talk about what we were messaging about on Bumble. I know. I was cracking up because I saw you pop up and I thought, well, this is like kind of a proud mama bear moment. So yeah, of course I had to give you the swipe right. And then lo and behold, I never would have suspected what was to come from there. Yeah, no, I'm stoked. You know that I wanted to come up with this program, but couldn't really figure out a way to execute it. And so if you want to create a business out of it, why not? If there's enough dudes who can learn from your newfound wisdom and experience and all the things, then why not? No, that's so awesome. I'm so glad you guys are still together. That's so fun. Look at you. Grasshopper is becoming the mentee or whatever that saying is. Doing your research. Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, I've actually done quite well this week. Met a couple of really nice young men and gotten a lot more material out of the latest whirlwind week of swiping. And so, yeah. No, all good. All right. Yeah. So what we're going to do during this session is map out your offer. And so we won't have it fully fleshed out by the end of this session, but we're going to map out the modules, what makes sense from start to finish. And so when we leave this session, you should have an idea of the course or the program that you're going to create. Yeah, absolutely. You could run this in a one-on-one format with individual clients. And of course, you can charge a more premium price for that because that's your one-on-one time. You could also or set this up as a packaged course, depending on how you wanted to go about it, depending on how big we want to scale this. If we just want to have this as sort of a side option where you can make a little bit of extra money, or if you wanted to set up a sales funnel with an ad and go about it that way so that it is more of a passive stream of income. Yeah, so let's feel it out and see what feels best for you. Okay, Chad, so let's talk about the results. So we want to start with the result that your course or your program is wanting to bring your client to. Okay, yep, I like it. Get a second date. So goal result is not just to stand out on Bumble or Hinge or Tinder, but to actually get a first date and then get that second date if you want it with this person. Okay, yep, I love this. This is actually going to be a little bit larger of a scope of curriculum than I was originally thinking, but I am here for it. So I think where we start is with the most obvious, which would be the beginning. So module 1, which is really going to be you guiding them through setting up or totally revamping their profile. So everything from picture selection. Yeah. Oh, you know what I was going to tell you. Remember how you told me that the female equivalent to the holding up a dead fish picture was a girl with like muraled wings behind her? Yeah. Well, I came across a dude with that as his profile picture. So we need to add that to the list. I'm almost thinking like an ancillary supplementary worksheet where it's like the do's and don'ts of profile pictures based upon our combined research. I know. Damn genius. I know. So picture selection, bio, how to stand out. There's some features, little used features that if used well and correctly might do them some good. Okay. Yes. I love it. Yes. So that's something you and I worked on, which obviously panned out very well for you, infusing your authentic personality into your bio so that you're not personality catfishing. And so that's going to be a huge component of not just getting that first date, but actually getting the second date, because what you don't want to happen is for someone to be interested in you or in your client initially, get them to the first date, and then they feel like you've either catfished them in your pictures or catfish them with your personality. And so you want congruence there, right? You want to look like your pictures. You want to seem like the person that you presented yourself in your branding, which is kind of weird in this case, but that's exactly what it is. It's you showcasing your personal brand, and what you're selling is yourself as a partner, as a potential partner, as a date. Yep. I think the coolest move that I've seen lately, which I really appreciated, and I think this guy learned this from being catfished many times himself. Before our first date, he ended up sending me almost like a proof of life type of picture. And he said something funny along the lines of, if he had a newspaper to hold up, he would with the date, but he clearly looked just like his profile pictures. Those were obviously recent. And I could check the metadata and see that it wasn't like a screenshot of an older picture. And then when he showed up, he actually looked better than he did in his pictures, as is often the case with you guys because you don't know your angles. Okay, one of my favorite parts is coming up with names for modules and courses. And so I feel like we could give this initial module 1, sort of the prep and or rebrand of the profile, a really cool name. What are you thinking? Ooh, yeah, I like it. Something along the lines of catfishing, because I feel like that's kind of a hot button word in the online dating world. Yeah, okay. Fish belong in the sea? Okay. That is freaking funny. Okay, that is a strong front runner. I think we'll have to revisit that. That definitely speaks to the profile picture selection. That's more of a tagline though. Plenty of fish in the sea, but your fish also belongs in the sea. Yeah, that's doing too much. Okay, anyway, let's move forward and we'll kind of come back and revisit that. Let's think about this. So if we have our starting point being the profile, the bio, and then the ending point, really, I would love to see this go through some date number 2 prep almost. So what's in between there? So we've got date number 2 prep on this side of the spectrum. And then the other side, they're either starting from scratch or retooling. Tool is an appropriate word in this context in many ways. But anyway, what's in between there? Yes, absolutely. And I think that that's actually the right next step, which is messaging game. So what do you do when there's a mutual connection, swiped right on each other, or however it works on the particular app? There's a connection. There's an opportunity to message. So within that, we want to talk about conversational turn taking. I mean, you may have the gamut. There may be people who come across you and this offer and they need, say module 3 really badly, but module 2, they think that they have completely down. You're also going to have other people who are really absolutely clueless and they're going to find some golden nuggets in just this section alone. So messaging game, this includes asking for the date. Yep. I actually like that strategy too. Okay, so let's talk about that. So once there's the connection, and I know for Bumble, it's the female, us ladies get to make the first move and say hello. But what's always interesting to me is there are so many people who don't understand like regular conversation, like ask a question. So when you respond, ask a question if you would like to keep the conversation going. Don't just give information about yourself and then give more information about yourself, etc. So yeah, maybe some templates would be really cool. Like we could even, it's a little weird, but names redacted, you and I could share some of the more successful conversations or anti-examples and have some side-by-sides of like, do this, don't do this. And we could mock some up. We could come up with some phrases or things like that. But obviously the thing that we want to get through is going to be infusing their personality and making sure that they are not just being like super vanilla, but they are being themselves. And if this course could have a theme, letting men know that the best thing that they can do is actually be themselves, because the last thing that you want to do is attract in someone who's not a match for you. Then you've just wasted your time and their time. And I think that that's what I've learned from this whole dating app and dating experience in general, is that time really truly is our most precious resource. And the worst, most painful thing is when you look back and you see that you've wasted some of that. And nothing is wasted. There's always lessons, right? Yeah, absolutely. But as much as we can minimize like feeling rejected and things that don't need to really happen, if you are attracting in people who are for you, which is a huge part of personal branding, online, offline, in real life, in the dating app sense, in all the ways. Okay, so I like that. Module 2 is going to be messaging game. We can come up with some kind of cool title, but maybe like message game strong. I like it. All right, I'm gonna jot that down in our notes. Message game strong. I like it. I'm still thinking about module 1. Yeah, no, that's way too. Chat, have I taught you nothing? That's way too long. Okay. All right, so module 3. What's our next piece to the puzzle? So we've got the profile set up, lockdown, showcasing actual and authentic personality. We've got message game strong, asking for the date's been asked for. Now we're assuming that this person has said yes to the date, whether or not, oh, that's true. We should add in, no, the pen pal thing is really lame. Like, it's literally my worst nightmare. Yeah, so getting off of the app, asking for the phone number, getting the date, all of those things, maybe a little bit of texting. I'm glad that worked for you guys, but if someone asks me to FaceTime, I'm not FaceTiming. And I know that's probably, you know what that probably is? That's probably wanting to see if it's a catfish picture. Yeah. So I feel like you could either go with the FaceTime strategy or you could go with the proof of life style photo. I'm an introvert. I freaking hate FaceTime. I know that is weird considering that a huge part of my job is being on I realize that, but I would like to meet in person, have a conversation, hopefully with someone normal whose personality seems congruous with the personality they presented on the app and on text. Yeah. I know it seems so simple, but this is why you're doing this, Chad. This is a very altruistic thing that you're doing and it's going to make you some money. So get to it. Module 3. Sure. So first date. So that's taking them on the actual first date. Okay, so maybe this is where we can add in little tips such as, sending a picture on the day of and maybe even requesting that picture. Hopefully, so you can get that out of the way. You can make sure that this person is not catfishing you in that way. A little harder to do that with personality. Okay, so how to stand out on a first date. Yeah, so like in sales, we'll call that setting the next appointment or being the next step. So if you sense a connection on this date, you want to set that next appointment if you're sensing that connection because she's probably dating other people. Don't let it wait. Don't be aggressive and like super stalker mode. But yes, like what is the finesse of making sure that next date is set so that you're top of mind? Absolutely. This is just like, there's like a single tear rolling down my eye, crushing it. Okay, so I am just catching up on our notes outline here for our map. Okay, so we've got module 1, module 2, module 3. Yes, we got the things that girls are actually looking for. Yeah, no, and yes, you can ask her. I can also give you my feedback, but what I would suggest doing is polling all of your friends or your friends' girlfriends who have had any experience on these dating apps and get some market research in. What are girls actually looking for? What are turnoffs? What are things that they've enjoyed? Really get like solid research, like not just from 2 women, but from many, so that this is like a solid authority data pool for these guys to draw on. So what are they looking for? What are red flags? Oh, do we need a module on red flags? I feel like we can incorporate it into the next module. I have an idea, but definitely needs to be addressed. It's like, well, let's talk about that in a minute. Okay, so from my perspective, I think things, and this goes for both men and women, but I know from myself and my friends, we're looking for people who are both interested and interesting. So a combination of asking questions like with genuine curiosity and not feigned kind of weird narcissistic curiosity where you're going to use that information as like a weapon against someone later on. Not that I would know about that. I think a big thing for me, one of the most attractive things, is when someone is just genuinely themselves. So whether that means that they're themselves, they talk a mile a minute and they're super cuckoo or whatever, and that's their real personality, or they're quiet, they're reserved, whatever their personality is like, I would love for you to communicate to your clients and your students that the best thing that they can do is really be themselves. And if that doesn't work out, if that is your best foot forward and it's your most authentic foot forward and it's not for someone, then it's better off. And that's the same thing that I tell my clients. We're not going to be for everyone. You have to own the heck out of the person that you are, the mentor that you are, the coach that you are. You have to own everything that you are, and then also own the things that you're not at all. Like, don't try to be someone else. Don't try to be like her or them. The more you can be, the better off your business will be, because you will attract in the people who are going to want to come into your world and stay in your world, and who you can really make an impact on, and who are going to refer to you, all of those things. Yeah, no, in this case, we're not trying to get referrals from your dates for other dates. Although, story time, yes, I did have someone who I did date who then we didn't date. And then said individual called me and did ask me for, in a like kind of strange roundabout way, asked me for referrals, basically if I had any other like single friends. And I can't. Yeah, I know. Okay, so for module 4, your next module, this is going to be talking about date number 2. So maybe some date number 2. Yay, you made it to date number 2. She agreed. I would like to propose some sort of section, or at least extra worksheet, on communication between dates. So there's got to be a happy median there, right? Yeah, and you and I had talked about this before in our sessions. You don't want to over communicate, but you also don't want to leave days in between with no communication, because odds are this person's also talking to and or dating other people. And if they sense that you're just not that into it, and you are, then you may have just lost out on your opportunity. Communication in between date number 1 and number 2. So this is like the transition module. This is where I feel like we could get a really solid head start on red flags. So I think neither you nor I are therapists, but if you can kind of plant the seed of, hey, like everyone has technically red flags, but the biggest red flag is when someone doesn't know their red flag. So you can have like the reddest of red flags, but if you're aware of it and you're working on it, then it actually kind of negates it being a red flag, at least in my opinion. Yeah, of course, there are some things that are going to be a red flag. You can't be like, I'm a serial killer, but I'm aware of it. Hey, like date me. No, that's obviously not what I'm talking about. But I think a great, not first date, but possibly second date question would be, so what are your red flags? I had someone tell me that my entire profile was a red flag, because why would I be on a dating app? Which was like, that I think was supposed to be a compliment, but there was no first date. No, I didn't, whatever, standards. So yeah, so presenting your red flags in a way that showcases self-awareness, which hopefully they have. But I feel like if anyone's investing in themselves enough to really get help with getting to that second date through this modern dating app experience, they're aware that they have work to do, at least in that area. So maybe this type of person would be more aware. Okay, questions to ask. Maybe this would be a good little, here's a question bank for them to ask on the second date, some good appropriate second date type of questions that they can sort through, or give them a space for brainstorming. Yeah, no, our second session will have to go through all the worksheets, the questions, the journal prompts, things that will really get your students and your clients doing that deeper work that's going to guide them toward the result. No, I think this is solid. This is a solid map of your offer. We've got the module number 1 being the setup of the bio, or the reworking of the bio on the dating app. We've got the second module, which is message game strong. So how to kind of transition things from that initial connection into asking for the date. Module 3, taking them on an actual date, standing out on that date, setting the next appointment, all of those things. And then module 4 is that bridge gap between that first date and the second date that hopefully the girl of their dreams has said yes to. Okay. And then obviously this is a great setup for you as you navigate through your journey and, expand upon your business, for you to be the next step as even their coach, like in dating, in moving forward as you've had so much success. Anyway, Chad, I think that this is going to be bomb. I love our offer map so far. This is so much to work with. I feel like it makes sense, logical order. Yeah, I'm excited about it too. I'm so thankful to be able to work with you on this and get your message and your mission out into the world to these guys who so desperately want to have what you now have, which is a lady companion who you vibe with. You're not swiping on the apps anymore. Yes and amen. Okay. All right. Well, Chad, I'll talk to you soon. Happy market researching, happy not swiping and hanging out with your girl, and we'll chat more next week. Okay. Bye. Well, I hope that Ashley times Chad was the collaboration that you didn't know you needed, and that you got a little bit of laughter out of it, and then also got an inside peek on the process of offer mapping. Again, this is going to be really similar to what we do during the module in the 30K and 30-day formula program on offer mapping, in conjunction with those hot seat Q&A coaching calls where people can bring their offer ideas and we can gain an understanding of the most logical order for the curriculum, what gaps we may need to fill in for our students and our clients, and all of those good things. So if you're interested in that, make sure that you hit the link in the show notes below and either hop on the waitlist or snag a spot for this round. Thanks again for listening. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. My goal is to help as many women in business online as possible to build strong, powerful, aligned, and profitable personal brands. The best way to show you appreciate this content is to screenshot and share on your social media or share with your team. Actually, even better would be to also leave a review for the podcast on whichever platform you're listening on. If you are looking for any additional support, you can always reach me via email at hello@elevatedwithashley.com. You can DM me on Instagram at Ashley R. Latimer, or join us in the free Elevate Academy for brand building, maverick marketers, and mompreneurs Facebook community. Can't wait to chat with you next week.